Zolal Habib from Paris. She's an Iranian human rights advocate. Well, Donald Trump correct in one thing there, that it is a very concerning situation for these players, many of whom must be caught in an almost impossible situation.
Yes, hi. First of all, thank you for having me. And yes, it is a very difficult situation, but this is something that we have actually seen in the past too. This is not the first time that members of teams from Iranian sports teams have defected and have sought asylum abroad when they are actually visiting or when they take part in different events abroad. And this is something that is, I think, natural when you're living under a dictatorship. And this is something that has been precedented in the past too. And it is people's way of, the athletes' way of showing their opposition to the regime and to stand by the people of Iran, the people that they would wish to be able to represent in the sports arena.
Yes, and perhaps fresh in their minds when they refused to sing the national anthem, perhaps were the many tens of thousands, perhaps, of demonstrators who were killed during anti-government protests earlier this year. That is a political statement they took. We also understand they were reportedly signaling SOS from their team bus after that final match. I mean, what do you expect the rest of these players to do? Take asylum, where it may well be granted in Australia, or still try to return home?
But I think that is a decision that each one of them has to make themselves, because the situation that they are in is very critical and it's very difficult. Because as you mentioned, their families inside of the country will be used as, leverage against them, and their lives are in danger. So there might be some families who decide to go back, and then there may be some who seek asylum. But we have seen in Iran, the fact that even the champion of Iran's soccer team was executed by this regime back in the 1980s, or other members of the national teams have been executed by the regime in the past. So this is something that has a long history for 4 decades. And unfortunately, even our athletes are not, their situation is not different from the people on the streets inside of Iran. So that really does depend. And because, the Iranian regime does practice, punishing people just based on family relations and whatnot. So we've actually seen entire families be executed by the regime just because of family affiliation, just because, their relatives were active in resistance. Currently, even in prisons, right now we see Mayam Akbari Monfared. She's one of the longest standing female political prisoners right now in Iran. She has been in prison for 16 years, only for seeking justice in regards of her 4 siblings who were killed in the 1980s, and 2 of which were in the 1988 massacre. And so this is something that we see inside of Iran. And yes, people are trying to use every means possible to show their opposition to this regime and to resist against this regime, be it by not singing the regime's anthem, or be it by taking part in protests, or taking part in activities of resistance units and fighting back with this regime.
And it's an incredible political message, while they just want to do what they love doing, playing football, and one has to salute their bravery for doing that. We thank you very much indeed, Zolal. Thank you for your input. Zolal Habib there. Habibi joining us from Paris, Iranian human rights advocate.